Hey, TGIF to all of you, and happy Friday the 13th. We had a discussion in the boot camp today about, is the 13th a lucky number? Is it a bad number? Are you superstitious? And I have to say, I think 13 is awesome because I'm getting to hang out with this guy and with all of you. So I'm super excited. If you don't know Mike Michalowicz yet, you're really missing out. And I'm going to actually read about him because I can't miss a single one of these details about how phenomenal he is. Here's what I'd like you to do. When you join us for your I'm in Eagle River, Alaska. Mike, where are you right now?
I'm right outside New York City. I'm in New Jersey, but about 20 miles outside New York City.
There you go. So when you join us, tell us where you're joining us from. I think it's always fun to see how scattered we all are, but yet we can be right here together. Oh, and there's Dan, of course. What's up, guys? Back together again. Absolutely. And thanks for the introduction. All right. So Mike Michalowicz, and I was going to tell you how it's pronounced. It's pronounced Michalowicz.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Just so you know, had founded and sold two multi-million-dollar companies, confident he had the formula for success, which we would all think that's true. He became an angel investor and proceeded to lose his entire fortune. Wah, wah. Then he started all over again, driven to find better ways to grow healthy, strong companies. Among other innovative strategies, Mike created the Profit First formula, a way for businesses to ensure profitability from their very next deposit forward. Mike is now running his third $1 million venture, is a former small business columnist for the Wall Street Journal, is the former MSNBC business makeover expert, is a popular keynote speaker on innovative entrepreneurial topics, and is the author of Profit First, Surge, The Pumpkin Plan, The Toilet Entrepreneur, and soon to be released, Clockwork. And The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, I love that title, is considered entrepreneurs' cult classic. So welcome. And let me just real quickly say hello to all of our guests. Michelle from Farmington. Hey, Michelle. And Dr. Brittany just joined the boot camp yesterday. So
Nice.
Congratulations, Brittany. Dr. Debbie, who's in Pittsburgh, Shauna, who's in Ohio, and Taylor, who is in Denver. So welcome to all of you, and thanks so much for joining us. So let's jump right in. I love something that you said that is like in about your book, Clockwork, and it says this: if you're like most entrepreneurs, you started your business so you could be your own boss, make the money you deserve, and live the life of your dreams. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what everyone thinks entrepreneurialism is, right? Like, yeah, I want to be my own boss, but what happens?
Well, I think what happens the day you declare you're starting a business is you're excited about it, but your friends all of a sudden think you're a millionaire. It's the weirdest kind of perception, but like, oh, you started a business? Oh my God, you're a millionaire and you do whatever you want now. And the reality, though, which happens the day after that, is like the OS moment. It's like, oh my freaking God, I've got no money. I have no prospects. I'm an idiot. What did I do? We start, bang our head against the wall. And I actually define that. I got to find a spot to put my coffee here. I define that as entrepreneurial poverty. And what I mean by entrepreneurial poverty is there's this outward perception of success, freedom, drive. And we ourselves believe we need to carry it on. Yeah, I grew my business. I got a sale. But inside, we're like, oh my God, I'm miserable. I will never live through today. The reality of entrepreneurship is that the vast majority of us are surviving check by check. That's the reality. The vast majority of us work a redonkulous amount of hours. We have sacrificed time with our family, our friends, ourselves. We have become enslaved to our own businesses to the point, and it's inevitable, I experience with my own businesses, where we start to resent our business. That dream becomes a resentment. I remember my own business as it was growing. And at one point I had 20 employees and I'd brag about the number of employees I had. I had to refinance my house because I couldn't cover payroll. I had to borrow from my parents and their elderly parents to explain, hey, can you take your retirement savings and give it to me so I can pay other people? The anger I had toward my business was palpable. That's the reality. It's not a necessity. There's definitely ways through it. I am so blessed now. I'm more joyful in my business than I've ever been. There's a way out. It's just often counterintuitive to what we expect.
So let's go back to the beginning of when individuals want to become an entrepreneur. And one of the things that really hit me as I was studying for our call or our interview today was the idea that they want to be their own boss.
Yeah.
However, what does that really mean? Being your own boss means that you're the one in charge and you set your schedule and you set your fees and you're responsible to hire and you're responsible to train and you're responsible. And so it's this wonderful idea of I get to set my own hours, but do you really have training to do that? Like it's almost like giving the keys to a 16-year-old with a Lamborghini saying, "Hey, good luck."
Yeah, right. It's totally true.
Experience.
And, we become our own boss when you find out our boss is kind of a jerk, to ourselves. And I don't mean like we're bad to ourselves or bad people, but the negativity and the thoughts that go through our mind is actually controlling our performance. One of the classic examples, Barbara, is I talk with entrepreneurs all the time about increasing prices. I can't tell you how many small businesses, entrepreneurs devalue themselves. And the story is always the same. It's like, I'm just picking a random number. I want to charge my clients, $2,000 for XYZ, but I really think $500 is all I can charge because that's all I've done to this point. And if I even charge $510, they're all going to leave me. So what we do is we have this negative mindset. That's the jerk boss in our head saying, you can't charge more. You're not worth it. You better work more hours. You better bring more value. You better broaden all the things you're doing. You're lucky to have anyone that likes you. And it keeps us entrapped in this business. And most businesses, if we just look at the financials, like if you go to a public company, you can go on the internet and go to some finance site and you can see the numbers and you see exactly how much money they're booking for profit, exactly what they're billing. If we run that same analysis on a small business, it's sickening. Most small businesses they're not profitable. They're running on cash flow, meaning they're trying to get as much money in today and spend as little money as possible in the future. And it's that gap in between collecting money and spending money that they're trying to live off of. It's a total game. And when we look at the real numbers, it's a sham. We're playing with ourselves. And the problem is our mindset. We got to change our mindset. And it's not easy, but it is necessary.
Nice. And what ways have you noticed that mindset has to change?
Well, so we already tackled pricing. It comes with profit. It's other things. So I'll bullet point a few. Let's go with pricing.
Okay.
Just starting there. For God's sake, everyone just double your prices. And I know. I tell you, we didn't talk about this before, but all of you in my boot camp, there you have it. Like the best-selling author is telling you the same thing I am. Double it. And I know it's arbitrary, and I don't know who's watching this right now. And I know, someone's in Denver, someone's in Pittsburgh, you're in Alaska. I don't have the right to say that, but I do from experience. And here's the point. Most people devalue themselves. The second thing is when you double your prices, there is a next step. You have to look at the value you're providing. So I actually have a process. It's real simple. Double your prices right now on paper. So if you charge $100 for X, charge $200. Then write down all the justifications why you can charge $200. Often there's stuff you're already doing. You're just not sharing with your customers. So it's not like new things. Just justify it. Then here's the big challenge. Double it again. Go from 200 now to 400, which hopefully makes you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit because it's such an absurdly high price. At that point, do everything you can. Scratch out all the juice you have to justify it. Write everything down. Then cut the price back in half. So from 400 back to 200, but with the value list at 400.
Nice.
Now you are offering $400 of value at a killer price point of 200, and you are only charging 100. It's a win for your customers. It's a win for you. So that's one opportunity. The second opportunity is profit matters. I was studying Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the base need is like physiological needs, food, water, oxygen. And it goes up to like belonging and love. And then the highest level is self-actualization. Entrepreneurs, I believe, Barbara, have this same model. The base model is sales. That's our oxygen for our business. We need sales to at least come in. But the next level is profit. And that's the point I want to get to. Profit is the nutrition for a business. It's the food we eat. And it gives us the energy. It's sad to see so many businesses that are starving to death are actually trying to gasp for more air. Like,
yes,
starving, you need food, not air, yet they're trying to sell more. We have to get into a profit mentality. And the simple solution is take your profit first. Every time sales come into your business, a cash deposit, take a predetermined percentage that you determine and allocate toward profit and hide it from yourself. It forces your business to start having substance, and that's where sustainability comes. And then the last, I'll just give you kind of 3 bullet points that kind of get out of this mindset, is the mindset that you're the best. For decades as an entrepreneur, I said, no one can do as good as me. Everyone else is an idiot. I have to do it myself. And then I realized, oh my God, do you know who the idiot is? I'm the idiot. I'm the freaking idiot. I was the idiot because I wasn't smart enough to design systems and processes where my people could excel. I was just abdicating work, saying, just take care of my social media. And when they came back with something that was short of my expectations, I wouldn't say, I would say you screwed it up, but I wouldn't tell them how to do it. I'd say, just do the social media right. I wasn't giving them the parameters and the direction. So I think we need to up-level ourselves and not think other people are idiots. Realize if other people are falling short, inevitably, it's because we haven't defined the parameters well enough. We don't have a good enough system.
Nice. I love that. And I love the exercise. I hope all of you do this exercise that Mike just said, like double your business, like double your, whatever you're charging. And then I love the justification of like, in what ways can you over deliver? And just start with the things that you're doing that maybe you're not even aware of, or maybe you were doing them a while ago and you stopped doing them. And
Barbara, I found something out. It's interesting. When you double your prices, the fear why people don't do this, by the way, is because you're going to lose customers. Well, here's what happens. When you do it, shockingly, you'll find, and I see this over and over again, the vast majority of customers effectively say, what took you so long, and don't leave. Some customers do leave, but the customers who do leave are the price shoppers. Your price went up. They didn't see value in you. They saw you as the cheap option. And the second you were no longer the cheap option, they said, sorry, you're not cheap anymore. Who wants to work with them?
That's the rotten pumpkins.
Right. That's the pumpkin plan. So when you double your prices, the customers that matter will appreciate that they're getting value from you and stay with you. The few customers that leave, let your competition deal with those cheapskates.
Absolutely. So that's another great reason to raise your fees, is to get rid of the pumpkin, the rotten pumpkins. And what I'm talking about is
pumpkins.
Yeah. And this is read Mike's book, The Pumpkin Plan, and you can also actually get into a program that he's created called the Pumpkin Plan series, right? Training series. Yeah. And it's going to walk you through how do you determine basically what is the best thing in your business and what do you need to cleave off. So if that's something that you're struggling with, I highly recommend that you check out all of Mike's books, but that one specifically for that issue. So Mike, let's go back though, and just in case somebody just joined us, and just real quickly again, double your prices, then make your list, then double them again. We'll run through that one more time in case they heard it the first time, they didn't have pen and paper. Now they have pen and paper, they can write it down. Do it again, please.
Yeah, so this is, let's talk about the foundation first, and I'll give you the process. The foundation is the customer that's going to argue the most with your price, the one that's going to be the nastiest about you increasing prices, the one that's going to get in your face is actually you yourself. You're that customer. We argue every reason we can't do it. But when we actually do it, we were inevitably surprised how customers are like, what took you so long? So what's the method then to actually do this? Take your current price point, whatever it is, and just put double. So if you charge, my example is $100, now charge $200 for that thing. But you also have to justify, you have to list all the reasons that's justifiable and realize that most of the things that you're currently doing, your customer isn't even aware of. So that list of things that justify it isn't new stuff, it's existing stuff that they just need an awareness about. Then, and this is the big challenge, double the price yet again. So I'm saying you go from $100 to $200 now to $400. This is a 4 times markup, and justify it. When you go through this process, chances are you're going to be scratching your head. You're going to get a little headache, a little vomit will come up. You're like, I can't do this. It's impossible. Push yourself to justify it. Then once you've justified that, now you ratchet back the price back to the 1/2 point, to the $200. You half what you just doubled. But you leave the offering with all those bullet points that you had at $400. Here's the great win. Your customer is now aware of $400 of benefit. You're charging $200 when you only charged $100. So you marked up your rates by 100% and you're winning. The customer's getting 4 times the value. They're winning. It's the ultimate win.
So Mike, is that something that you recommend when they raise their prices, when everybody who's watching this now or watch it later, they've all doubled, do they then tell their practice members like, hey, our prices have doubled and here's why? Or like, let's walk through it from like a real practical standpoint so that they hear it. And then when all of those doubts and worries and fears come into play, we've already knocked them down, like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. So I do it in a stage. I don't kind of do a mass blast about it. First, I do it with my new onboarding customers. So established customers do have an expectation, and precedent sets expectation. So if I've been billing a certain rate, it's expected. And if I bump it up, those people are more to be shocked. The ones who never worked with you before, they don't know any different. So I always start with new customers coming on board. And inevitably, I'm surprised. I actually seem to, this is not qualitative, this is more kind of quantitative, but I seem to close at a higher rate when I charge more.
Yes.
Yeah, right. There was a story, there's a book back here called Influence, is one of the books I read.
Oh, yeah.
And in Influence, there was a study of a jewelry store. And as the story goes real quickly, the owner of the jewelry store had a certain line she couldn't sell. It was this store was near where cruise lines would come in with their ships. And she noticed that other lines were selling, but this line was failing. So she put to her store manager the number 1/2 next to it. And she said, please take care of this immediately. Half the price, right? The store manager, she left. Next day she came back and the line was sold out. And the owner said, see, we only had the half the price. And the store manager went red-faced. This is a true story. It's in the book. Red-faced and said, I thought that was not a 1/2. I thought the one was, I thought it was a ×2. I thought you wanted me to double the price. I doubled the price of jewelry and it sold out. The lesson here is people judge our value first on price. Your worth is judged on your price. And if you charge that $100, they see you as worth $100. When another person charges $200 or $400 for the same offering set, the consumer sees $400. They must be better. So the conclusion is when you charge more, you get a better price. So I always go to new customers, dictate a new price, and they see more value in me. The other thing is when a customer pays more, they're more vested in the outcome. They're better customers, right? They're more engaged. They want this to work because they're paying more money. Then I go to actually what I call my rotting customers. Now, by the way, I'm not suggesting these are bad people by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. I'm just suggesting they're a bad fit for my business.
Yes. I
go to them and say, listen, we have engaged in multiple contracts here that are requiring more and more of my attention. So I only have it available for so many customers. That's requiring me to dictate a higher price. I'd love to continue to work with you and can pay attention to you at this fee. If it's not a fit, I'm going to release you to someone else or introduce you to someone else. And the beautiful thing is it's usually those low customers who are the ones who really kind of are hesitant about increasing prices. If they are, gladly introduce them to your competition. Let your competition deal with that muckety muck. Then I go to my established customers and I usually give them forewarning. I say 3 months from now, we're doing price adjustments. The reason is we want to sustain profitability in our business. And the reason profitability is important is that means we're going to stick around and support you forever. I hope you understand this necessity for adjustment, but also we want to give you adequate notice, 3 months. Now, here's what I found. When you give someone 3 months notice, they say, okay, I got a lot of time. They're concerned about me, so they're giving me adequate time. And then they forget about it. 3 months goes by like lickety split. You cut the price over, but they have been vested in this for 3 months now. So there's usually no problem in the transition. That's how I do it. And very little customer loss, usually more customer gain. And for the few customers I lose, I'm always surprised how quickly the universe or magic or whatever you want to define it as today, whatever it is, all of a sudden fills that void with better customers.
Yeah. And I think too, the ones that leave, they're going to be better served by the cheap chiropractor or by the cheap other brand or whatever. And that's totally fine. Like it's all about a great fit. So I encourage all of you, know who the cheapest chiropractor is in your town and get ready to send them the people who don't stick in your office. Totally fine. It doesn't, like if you're looking for Rolex, you're not going into Walmart. It doesn't mean Walmart's bad. It just means that's not what they sell there. So it's all good. So here's a question, a concern that I regularly hear from chiropractors. Like, Dr. Barb, I couldn't even afford my fees what they are now. So if I double them, like, where does that put me? Right? So like if they're charging $100 or let's say they're charging $50 and they double it to $100. And then they require like everybody they adjust, man, woman, and children, it's $100 an adjustment. And they're thinking in their mind, like, man, if my spouse and I went to a chiropractor and we have 3 kids and it was $500 for all of us to get adjusted, we couldn't afford it. How that's something I hear regularly.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Well, first of all, that means you see chiropractics, ironically, as a chiropractor, as a cost decision, not a benefit decision, right? So realize there's a difference between cost and benefit. Some customers see chiropractic as an extraordinary benefit and are price agnostic. Think about an airplane. 20% of the people on an airplane fly first class. They're getting there at the same time. It's the same plane, blah, blah, blah. But they see the value in the comfort, right? Those are the customers you can go for. And I believe in every community, there's that elite customer base. I worked with a chiropractor actually in consulting his business. And what we were doing was observing his customer base and noticed that his best customer were women, mothers coming in with their athletic children, kids between 17 of the oldest down to 12 who are playing sports. It was the kids actually that needed adjustments. So what did he do? He went through his offering and said, I'm going to start becoming athletically oriented. I'm going to be the chiropractic provider for student athletes. So he started to work with coaches. He started to learn about the team's schedule. He learned, like, especially for contact sports like lacrosse and football and field hockey, what these young boys and girls were going through and when the best time were to do adjustments. He was giving them dynamic care that they could do on the sideline, certain stretches and stuff to prepare their body. He offered so much value that customers were coming to him. And it wasn't now discussions of what was it cost per session? Was it cost to book you for a season? Like we got to change the paradigm. You are not just another generic chiropractor or just another doctor. Here's another example. Circuses. If I say the word circus, I suspect everyone watching right now says, I know what a circus is. You know, you got Ringling Brothers and Barnbelly Circus, which is now a business. You have your local circuses. You have those carnies that come to town. You're like, here's $5 not to touch my child. Like,
that's right. You got America's Most Wanted out. Like, which one of you?
Right. Yeah. But there's one circus who broke out of the circus game. They are extraordinarily profitable. They are booked 6 months in advance. And everyone watching knows it's Cirque du Soleil. We all know it. Why? Because they changed the definition of a circus. Not dramatically. They still have acrobats. They still do, a lot of stuff. They actually hired the people that left Ringling Brothers, all went to Cirque du Soleil. It's the same performers. They just changed elements of it to make it feel different and make it feel catered. They made it into a performance. As a chiropractor, we can do the same thing. You just need to modify and tweak and angle your offering to a community and no longer be a standard chiropractor. That's where the opportunity is.
Yes. And once again, all of you, I know it's going to sound like Mike and I like rehearsed this, and we didn't, but I hope that puts the exclamation point on things that I have been saying to all of you. And it's specific. But did you hear Mike say that new chiropractor who realized, like, hey, I want to niche into young athletes. He didn't just jump in and be like, hey, I have a sign, I'm a specialist. He learned, he trained, he studied, he made connections. He became an expert in that in order to serve them. And he didn't say, hey, I'm open during lunch and then expect them to all change their schedule. He said, all right, when do they need me? I'm going to orient my business around when my ideal practice member needs me, and I'll change and still have freedom at different times. So Mike, I want to talk to you about that, because one of the things, let me just a second. I have some notes I want to ask you about.
Yeah. Dig on in.
It was something about, okay, so this is under pumpkin plan. So plant the right seeds. Don't waste time doing a bunch of different things just to please your customers. Instead, identify the thing you do better than anyone else and focus all your attention, money, and time on figuring out how to grow your company doing that thing that you really love, that you're really good at. But the first part of that was just to please your customer. Let's talk about that, because I have always coached, like, find out when your people want to come in and your ideal practice member. Like in my practice, I love serving entrepreneurs. So guess what? I opened at 6:45. Why? Because they had to get adjusted and then get into their business to get their team going, right? So sure, I could have said, well, I'm not going to see anyone until 9 o'clock. Okay, well, dum-dum. they're already, like an hour or two into their day. So what is that balance between the inmates not running the asylum, but yet serving our people where they are? Can we talk about that?
Of course. So there's a popular saying right now called pivot. It used to be called paradigm shift. It used to be called inflection point. The fresh term is pivot. And the concept is this: customers have specific needs, and we should adjust our offering to match their needs, because if we don't, they're not going to buy. And I'm actually at odds with that term. I think it's a mistake because it's only half of the formula. The other formula is, what are our needs personally, right? So the inmates don't run the asylum. Now, as a chiropractor, you better understand this term. It's about alignment. It's about alignment. Actually, it starts with, what does our heart and soul call out to do? If I love business and entrepreneurs, and that's the community I get a vibe off of, that's who I want to cater to, then I'm naturally going to excel there. I need to identify what I'm called to do, and my heart sings out to do, and then match it with what the customer wants. So do we need to adjust our offering for the customer? Yes, but not at the consequence of ourselves, our souls. Identify what you need, your purpose, your goals, your intent, your happiness, and then match it to a community that's in alignment with that. And that's when the business just sails. I have sadly seen businesses in all industries pivot out of what they like. I've seen businesses that they started off with this great dream and they kept on adjusting to what the customer wants. And yes, they have sales, but they hate it, which are the worst sales to have, because now you're beholden to the customer. So align. And it sounds like, actually, Barbara, that's what you've done with your business. We all need to do that. What do you want? And what's the community that wants what you want? And there you have the match.
And when you do that, it doesn't matter how many arrows end up in your back. You're able to just stay laser focused. Like, this is my mission. This is my purpose. This is my passion. This is what I do. If that's not if that's not your track, that's okay. This drives me. And I encourage all of you, if you feel like you're consistently in friction, it may be something as simple as this tweak of really getting clear of, who do you want to serve? Who do you love serving? What brings you joy? What brings you happiness? And one way that I have found that you can identify that, what are the conversations that you have with your friends, with your family members, outside of your business? Is it about health and well-being? Is it about business? Is it about your kids being in sports? Whatever that is, that's your thing. That's your tribe. That's your conversation. And it can change. Like, one of my clients, when she's been in practice now for 19 years, and when her kids were young, that's the population that she served, right? And now her kids are going off to college, and now she's finding that her practice she's still kind of here, but she wants to be over here. I'm like, then make the leap, because those people you attracted down here when their kids were in diapers, now their kids aren't wearing diapers. Now their kids are off to college, and now you serve those moms in a different capacity. And so I think, and maybe this is what you're referring to too, is part of the pivot is, has your life changed? And now your mission and now what you're passionate about is different. That's totally fine.
That's totally
just because
fine.
you started there doesn't mean you have to end there.
Yeah. What I found for me is, I had to go actually through some dark periods of my life, failures, to kind of awaken me to what I've defined for myself as my life's purpose, which is to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. And that's it. And I know all the stats behind it, the 180 million companies, small businesses in the world that are struggling and so forth. And my mission is to serve that. Once I kind of had that calling defined, then I looked at what's the best way to serve it. But I had to experiment. I first thought, well, I'm going to start with very young entrepreneurs right out of college. Maybe they didn't go to college, but I'm going to start off with those entrepreneurs because that's the next generation. And I found not suitable, not the best market. Actually, the market that resonated with me, at least in the early stages of authorship, were actually female entrepreneurs. Many cases were moms who are now returning to the workforce, but instead of becoming an employee, decided to start their own business. And as I dug deeper, I found there was an interesting psychographic going on. As they were discovering my books, they said, you're interesting, Mike. You're one of the few male authors who don't pander to a female audience, which means you're not creepy or not totally creepy. And which I'm like, that's awesome. I tried to decreepify myself. And then the second thing they said is, But here's the biggest challenge I face. My partner, my life partner, my husband, in most cases, is verbally supporting my entrepreneurial dream, but emotionally detracting from it. He inside thinks that I'm taking our vacation money and I'm destroying our family. So my life's partner is at odds with my business.
Yeah.
I feel alone and abandoned. And I'm just getting chills as I just recall this. Once I discovered that, I started to further cater my offering to serve that special need. That community over time has carried me to a larger community. And I think that's how all businesses grow. Cater to a very specific community that resonates with you and serves and matches to your life's purpose, alignment, but also cater to them so well that they're the ones who carry you to the broader market. Don't broaden yourself and say, I also do this, I also do that. That, I think, is the mistake. Let your niche community naturally expose you and build you to the larger community.
So would that be your blue ocean? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. So the Blue Ocean Strategy, which is a phenomenal book, by the way, was this concept of, instead of going after all the red ocean, as they called it, where everyone's fighting over these morsels, go into a new market with a new offering, right? And that's the match. Do something for a community that's underserved or hasn't been served in your special way, and offer them something unique. What I found is, for women entrepreneurs, at least 10 years ago, when I really was moving this market, the people who were serving female entrepreneurs were other females, and men couldn't pull it off. I went to a conference. I almost died. There was one male author up there, and he goes, before I get started, I want to tell you all how beautiful you look. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? You idiot. But I saw that my counterparts didn't understand the market. And this was a total blue ocean. I would walk into a conference. I remember going to this one called Savor the Success, 300 women in the event. I was the only guy there. And here's what happens when you're the only guy at a women's event. First of all, everyone looks at you and goes, who's the creep? Then they realize you're the speaker, and they're like, oh, but then you are the minority. And I found when you're the absolute minority in a community, people embrace you. They're like, oh, it must feel so uncomfortable to be the only guy here. And they embrace you. If you're a small minority, meaning like 3 or 4 guys, now you're a bunch of weirdos that are together. So to be an absolute minority is the best. So I think that's true in any business. As a chiropractor, you can be the only chiropractor providing a service to such and such community, and that community will actually embrace you because you're the only one there.
I love that. And I love how it's, okay, find your niche, but what message haven't they gotten yet about of things that unite them, and then be the very best in that, and empower them to then be your soldiers, in order to be your disciples, in order to spread the message and get their feedback. How well am I serving you? If this was your joint, how would you do things better? And I think so many times I find that entrepreneurs are afraid to ask those questions because they think, oh, well, I don't know. I don't even know why. It's a fearful thing, but I want to know what I'm doing well as well. How can I improve? Because I always want to over deliver. And I think those are great questions to ask.
It is. They are great questions. Also, the realization that we're all selling benefits. We're not selling the service. You don't sell chiropractic service, and you may think you do, but you're either alleviating pain, but that's not the only thing you're doing. You might be giving people energy. You might be giving people just a break from their day. Like, you got to really figure out what you're selling. What I realized I was selling as an author, I wasn't selling books. I was selling confidence to these women entrepreneurs that were actually having detracted by their husbands. I was selling confidence. And so, like, once you realize, for example, I'm an entrepreneur, I go to a chiropractor, Dr. Drew. When I see Dr. Drew, I don't have any back pain. And people go to me, why do you go to a chiropractor? I'm like, because I want the most energy I can. I have a standing desk. I have different things. And I do this to bring energy into the present. And so I talk to Dr. Drew, and he does his adjustments, but he also gives me advice. He's like, standing 18 hours a day, or 8 hours a day, I should say, actually is not the best thing. And he starts coaching me on my objective of energy, and I will pay him a massive premium. I love
that he found out your button.
Yeah.
Your button was energy.
Energy.
Like, what do you want most? Man, if you could have anything change in your health right now, what would it be?
Right. Could you imagine if every chiropractor watching right now asked that question of their customers, your whole service offering would change?
That's right.
If you have anything regarding your health, they'd say, I'm looking to lose weight. I'm looking to have more energy. I'm just looking that when I wake up, I don't ache. And once you know that, then your offering becomes, we help you lose weight through chiropractic services. We help you gain energy. We help you wake up without feeling any soreness. And now the value proposition has skyrocketed. Plus your learning changes. You're like, oh, if I make a little tweaks here, I deliver on that,
Yes. And now I have a message that they want to get behind.
Exactly.
And then the people they run with want more energy. So now they come in. So it's really like, shut up and ask questions and let them talk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the practical parts of it, right? All right. So this kind of goes along with Surge. And so if you haven't read Surge is about knowing basically Wayne Gretzky, like where's the puck going to go? Like where is your market moving towards and what do they want? So here's a question I have about that. How do you know where the puck is going? How do you identify that? And then I have a few more questions, but how do you first identify where is my market going?
Yeah. So it requires just acute observation. What you need to do is immerse yourself in the market. So let's talk about the chiropractor who serves the athletes. What he started doing was going to the games and observing the games, watching what was going on. He noticed that there would be this started about 15 years ago, but they were going to these kind of extreme performance coaches. So if you play baseball, it used to be when I was growing up, there was a volunteer baseball coach that didn't even know how to play baseball coaching you. Go to today, and there's like a pitcher's coach, there's a catcher's coach, there's a bat boy coach, for God's sake. Like there's specialized coaches. So what we realized was that there was these specialized coaches that were emphasizing certain movements. If you're a pitcher, it's, there's a lot of torque on this part of your arm. Severe damage can happen, especially with very young children. Their bodies are still forming. Catchers, there's this percussion that's constantly happening. So he started to specialize in that need. And he was the first doctor in there saying, if you have a high performance athlete or you're looking for high performance skills, I provide high performance athletic chiropractic services.
Love it.
In hindsight, everything's 2020. When you immerse yourself in it, you can see it years before everyone else does. Now we're like, yeah, of course they're everywhere. Well, they started 10 years ago. Where were you then? So the key to catching market movements is to immerse yourself in the community and watch what's going on and see what their next need is. Not with you, just in the community they're in. Then as you see them making a shift, what can you offer that complements it? Here's another example. Automobiles, the rise of Tesla and all these electrical automobiles. Electric cars are now here to stay. The vendors that were observing this realized that, heating and cooling a cabin uses the most energy. Maybe we should make different types of windshields that can actually capture the sun in the cooler temperatures and heat the cabin and actually repulse the sun in the heater temperatures to cool it. Kudos to those manufacturers of windshields that saw the opportunity with Tesla. So what's going on in your community, not with you, but with all the other elements? Watch how that's shifting, because you're actually part of that shift, and then you can jump in front of it proactively. And I use a surfing analogy. Once that wave is moving and you start paddling in front of it, it's only a matter of time that the wave starts to carry you and you don't expel any energy. It's just about balancing that ride all the way to the beach.
And so in the opportunities that you have, right? So you're an author, you're a speaker, you created the Pumpkin Plan series, there's podcasts, there's like all of these different things. I think one thing that gets entrepreneurs bogged down, specifically my colleagues and I too, is what is the next move on the wave? So there's a like how to deliver the service. This is where it's going, but what's the best way to do that? Is it to do, let's say, Facebook Lives, or is it to do podcasting? Is it to develop something like the Pumpkin Plan, or now obviously you have a program too of become an author, and there's 100 of those. So how do you go through and determine what is my next move on the wave? Yeah,
so it's the old fail fast method. So here's what I see going on in the readership community. People want a stronger and closer relationship with the author themselves, a bi-directional communication. It used to be authors sharing platitudes. Here's my genius. Now go do it and never talk to me, for God's sake. I'm your professor. Now it's moving to a much more collaborative, saying, here's my thoughts as an author. Try it, but also come back to me. And if it ain't working, we're going to tweak this together. There's a much more higher level of engagement. So what I'm doing is seeking platforms now where I can share theses or hypotheses and work with people further on a collaborative. But then as I learn from it, repackage it and then give the new information. So it's these evolving kind of platforms. I'm testing multiple things out. Podcasts, I'm testing and have proven to be very successful. So that's one platform. Bringing on guests who've lived through the book and interviewing them about their stories and giving tweaks and advice. So that's a very effective way. I now think, this is kind of semi-secret, that Alexa, the Amazon, I have an Alexa right there, so it just triggered, but the Alexa platform, I think may be another extremely effective way where you can go into Alexa and ask questions, and I can be providing kind of answers to that through their different platforms. So I'm starting to explore that.
Nice.
Is fail fast. I don't know what the next thing is going to be, but I know there is a next thing. Let's try sampling as many as possible and see what gets traction, what's working, amplify it, what's not, ditch it.
Nice. I love that. Like, don't ever be married to something.
No, that's
yourself,
the thing.
Right?
So I feel sorry for the taxi cab drivers that are sitting at the airport waiting to pick up a ride. Uber and Lyft own your ass,
Yes.
But they're so entrenched in that belief that, it's just a passing fad. No, but there's some taxi cab drivers that jumped over, and there's other ones that jumped on way early on and are dominating the space. So fail fast, test things out, never be stuck with what's working because it's not going to work forever.
I love that. Fail fast. I just spoke at Kaira Sushi a couple weekends ago, and that was something. Do you know Dave Rogemoser? He started Proof. And so I coached with him a year and a half ago, and one thing he kept teaching me was just go fast and break things. Go fast and break things. Go fast and break things. So that I didn't get stuck in that whole paralysis by analysis thing of it's got to be perfect before. No, it doesn't. Just go. Like, run with it.
And there's a strange juxtaposition to it also. Once something's working, milk it for all it's worth. Don't abandon. That's the other thing. Like, I see people that move so quickly that they abandon the stuff that's working and it cut off great opportunities to be of service. So when something is working, keep doing it while testing out the new things, because one day that thing will finally break, and that's the time to make the full jump, I think.
So that's a great point. Let's dive a little deeper into that. What process do you use in order to say, I'm going to stay in this lane and just go deeper because it is working? At what point do you say, nope, done with this one, put it on the shelf and move on to the next one?
I found the only way to do is through. Yeah, I do a formula. It's real metrics. Like, I used to do it by gut and instinct, and I found, holy crap, my gut and instinct is horrible. My gut's good at guzzling beer. And my instinct is more of just a stink. But I found metrics actually don't lie. So what I do, and another saying I have is that my clients and your clients speak the truth, not through their words, but through their wallets. We have to measure the action of our customer. A customer could say, oh, this is the best chiropractic session I've ever had. I love you. And then never come back. Well, was it really that impactful?
Yeah.
But if they buy from you repeatedly, they're demonstrating through their action your value. So I put significant value in the consumption of my offerings. And when I see one drop, I then say, is there an action I need to take to reinvigorate this? Or is it really dropping? And I try to reinvigorate stuff. And when it continues to die, that's when it's time to cut bait. So I've cut bait on certain things. Other things I've reinvigorated. And sure enough, it was just the way it's being packaged was stale, but it could be freshened up. But the metrics don't lie. And I'm a big reliant on Google Analytics. It's free. It's powerful. You can tie in your e-commerce or even your point of sale transactions to it. So you can get a lot of data there. And it doesn't lie.
Yeah. The numbers your metrics don't lie. You just got to make sure, for those of you who are watching who aren't really sure what we're talking about. So we're talking about a system, right? So it must be measurable, reproducible, innovative, and must eliminate discretion. So if you're doing something different all the time, it's going to be really hard to measure your metrics because it's like, well, did you do it that way or did you do it this way? Was it this way or was it that way? And so your metrics will be all over the place. So pick a system, stick with it, don't change anything, measure it, then change one thing, then measure it again. But if you come in and you're constantly changing and changing and changing, you won't ever have enough data to see what works. And that's another thing. You got to give things enough time to see if they do work. Like if you cut bait, and I love how so much of business relates to fishing because I love fishing.
Awesome.
You know, it's kind of like I said to a client a few weeks ago, you're getting exactly what you're fishing for. You're fishing in the pond of Medicaid. So why should you expect that you're going to be making more and more money unless you just see more and more people, because it's a fixed rate, right? Like Medicaid determines how much. So I said, you got to fish in a different pond. And, you know, fishing has taught me so much about really niche marketing. So if I'm bottom fishing for halibut or whatever, like they
for the halibut.
That's just for the halibut. Exactly. At 150 to 180 feet of water, I have found that they feed better about 2 hours after high tide. They really like squid, like all of these things, right? So it's important to know that about your niche as well. And you just brought up something about like changing bait. Like if I'm jigging and nothing's biting, I got to start going through a process of elimination of it. All right, is my bait gone? Is my hook wrapped up around my line? Like what's going on? And do you have a process of analysis whereby you can determine, why am I not getting bites? And it's the same way in our business, but that means you got to know your market and you got to know your business, like inside out, backwards, forwards.
For my most recent book, I was studying kind of the flow, and I believe there's a standard flow for all businesses, chiropractic or other. And I now call it the ACDC, nothing to do with the band. It does kind of rock out as hard as ACDC.
I was going to say, like, that's back in our generation, right?
Yeah. So we salute you. So ACDC, the A for every business is the attraction of prospects. That's what the A stands for, attraction. Okay. The next one is C, which is conversion, converting those prospects into paying customers. D is the deliverable of our services. And then C, the last C, is the collection of money. And that is the flow of every business. Not necessarily in that sequence. Sometimes we collect the money before we deliver the service. So that'd be ACCD. But we always touch on an ACDC in every transaction. And our businesses have one part of that that's always the bottleneck, meaning one part of that's always the slowest. You may be delivering tons of service phenomenally, but you don't have enough customers. You're not converting enough. You need to bring in more customers. And you may have tons of leads, but everyone's inquiring and saying you're not a fit for me. The problem is the conversion.
Love that.
Or you may have a problem in attraction, meaning you've no one coming in the door inquiring about you. We got to get out there and doing that. Or some businesses, everything's flowing perfectly, but no one's paying, and that's killing your business. So we have to identify, where is our current biggest bottleneck in the A, the C, the D, or the other C. Once we identify it, concentrate your efforts in fixing that, because as the fisher people know, as a tide rises, so do all boats. When you fix the weakest chain in your business, you're actually strengthening the entire chain. So look within your ACDC for that weak spot, fix that, and you'll be surprised your entire business will elevate.
So let's break that down further, okay?
Yeah.
For everyone watching. All right, so A, attraction.
Yep.
So would the exercise be like on a piece of paper? You take one blank piece of paper.
Yep.
And this says attraction, and then write down all of the ways in which you are regularly running processes for attracting new business into your practice, right?
Yeah, well, that's almost like step 2. Step 1 is to write attraction, conversion, deliverables, and say, with my existing flow of business, where am I struggling the most? You may say, like, I don't have enough customers. Well, that means it's the C, the conversion, or maybe the attraction. Maybe it's not yielding enough. And then we look and say, you know what? Historically, if every 5 people came in the door, 4 of them signed up. Right now, every 5 people come in the door, 1 person signs up. That means I have a conversion problem. Or you may say, no one's coming in the door. Then it's an attraction problem. So the first step is, where is the potential problem? And then step 2 is exactly what you said. Bullet point out all the activities you're doing to support that. And now we got to find, how do we amplify or open up that bottleneck? Which one can we fix, improve, amplify? Or sometimes we're doing something that's actually counteractive. Is there stuff we can remove that's actually hurting us?
Can you give an example of that?
Oh, yes. A classic is the dilution of, when it comes to marketing, diluting our marketing. Like, say for right now, I was marketing just to student athletes because I picked a niche, and I was getting 5 people a week coming in that were new. Then I say, oh, I got a great idea. I'm going to start marketing to the bands because, the athletes have bands there. I'm going to start going to band camps and start promoting there. Well, guess what? With that time concentrated on the band camps, I'm doing less with the athletes. So they're hearing less about me. The band camps have no clue who I am. So now actually my overall attraction is dropping. The best solution is not to try to work harder with band camps, actually to abandon the band camps and get back to what was working fully. That's kind of what I mean there.
Nice.
I'm not saying band camp there's nothing wrong with band camp, by the way.
I was thinking terrible example, but maybe applicable.
Right.
In like adultery. You spend all your time with somebody else. If you would have spent that same time nurturing the grass that you are, it's green and pretty.
I suspect that's very true. Very
I don't know why I went there, but there it goes.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes keep my thoughts to myself. But
let's go back to band camp.
Yeah. One time at band camp, I guess that's maybe why.
Right. That's what
American Pie, right?
Horrible.
So going back to keep nurturing your people, keep playing in this sandbox and finding out what are all of the ways in which I can serve them. I can serve them better. I can make better connections. I can raise my fees. I can deliver greater. I can have back end sales. Where is that puck going? And how can I be more intimately involved with them, as well as their people?
Right.
Like all of them know 250 people. Like if you're only here and you're not getting referrals, which that's something I want to talk to you about, because I'm a huge fan of, I've yet to meet an entrepreneur, and you've probably met more than I have, that if you ask them, what is your favorite form of new practice members or new business? Everyone's going to say referral, right? Like that's the hallmark of a great business. And then I ask, awesome, tell me about your referral systems. And I'm like, I don't have one. I got none.
Yeah.
Like this favorite thing.
The best marketing method ever, and this is qualitatively proven and it's historical, is remarkable service. So the foundation for referrals or any marketing is provide extraordinary service, right? That's how you get the word out. And what remarkable means, and Seth Godin coined this, remarkable means worthy of remark. At the end of the day, are your clients, when they're having dinner with their friends or whoever, do they think the experience with you is so remarkable, like you wouldn't believe what I just experienced with my chiropractor? If they're not doing that, you're not at the level of marketing where you can ask for referrals because you haven't seeded enough. If they're not naturally wanting to talk about you, now you have to you make them beholden to something they don't want to do. Oh, I know I'm like an ordinary chiropractor, but would you refer me to other people? They're like, oh, okay. They're doing it because they feel beholden to you. They get crappy referrals. But if they already feel like, oh my God, I come to this place and I've never been so catered to. No one understands me so well. And I'm bragging about you already. Now you have a thoroughbred that just needs a little bit of direction and they're going to take off. So the foundation for referrals is always, always remarkable, extraordinary service. Then put a system in place, make it habitual, make it routine.
And serve. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the keys to my success in practice is I made people feel awesome about themselves.
Yeah.
I just want to go there because she makes me feel like I'm the best person on the planet.
How many chiropractors do that? I know one chiropractor, every time he does an adjustment, because I've actually worked with quite a few, every time he did an adjustment, we weren't filming it because that's illegal. We were just kind of listening in. Every time he would make an adjustment, he would say, oh my God, you're so tight. It would start off with a derogatory, like, oh my God, how horrible you are comment. Like, what? Why not say, oh my gosh, I think, why not tell the truth? Like, listen, I think we're improving things here. Here's the good things I see. He was setting himself up for like this negativity. If you're the chiropractor makes people feel awesome, why don't you start off by highlighting the awesome, truthful improvements they've made to this point? I don't know.
Or just something about them. Like even something like that to say like, wow, I'm so proud of that you're here today.
Yeah.
This adjustment is going to change your life. Like, great job. I'm sure you made the time. I'm glad your car still has enough gas to get you here, but way to go. Yeah. And it's like nothing that costs any money, but make sure that every visit is extraordinary. And for all of you boot campers and private clients, That's why we have the sticky note system. That's why we have whiteboard topics. So every single visit, yes, every single time they're there, it's remarkable. And there's always enough time.
Like you don't have to, if you're not the energy, like, hey, how you doing? Waka, you're wearing like a clown nose with a waka waka. Like you don't have to be that guy or gal.
Right.
Your definition of it. Like you can be the most efficient chiropractor. You don't have to have a personality. You can just say, listen, when you come in, we get you in and out in 5 minutes and cater to a community that just cares about the speed and the convenience. That can be huge. So
yes.
This goes back to our alignment. Who are you naturally? For God's sake, don't change that. Be more of it. Be more of who you are. There is a community starving for that.
I love that. Absolutely. Find your people. Know who you are and find your people and serve them.
Maybe your people are clowns. Like Bozo the Clown comes in and then you do the red nose and the waka waka thing. Maybe it does work.
I'm sure clowns need to be adjusted. I know they need to be adjusted.
Could you imagine if you're the clown chiropractor and you only serve clowns? That'd be awesome. There's like a line of clowns down the street waiting for their adjustments.
Just think how much attention you'd get.
Walking down the street. Awesome.
Man, I would not want to do leg length analysis on that person because it'd be really tough with those clunky shoes. That's for sure. So, all right. So here's what I want to do. With those of you who are with us or who are just now joining, what questions do you have? Or even just give us feedback. Some of you are like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. This is great. Or just jumping in. We want to, like, this is about all of you. Like Mike and I love to hang out and rap together. This is about all of you. So if you would allow us to serve you, put your comments in the comment section, ask questions, tell us what you're digging. Maybe it's missing something that we're not hitting. Let us know. All right, so here's another question I have while we're waiting for our audience to jump in and participate. And let me just give you a little bit of a tip, all of you. One thing that I've done is when I show up to things, I'm noticed. How do I do that? I just open my mouth or, I do something to be noticed. And it's great training for all of you to speak up. Don't be in the background. You never know who's watching or who else is here that may be the connection that opens the next door. Like I'm a big fan of it's not just being in the right place at the right time. It's being in the right place at the right time and prepared. And you don't know who else is watching or who else will watch that sees your name or sees your comment. And they're like, oh my gosh, I was looking for a chiropractor in that area, or I was looking for somebody who would say something like that, or wow, she said something that I thought about. And be so aware of the way in which you're investing the minutes of your life that you can capitalize on every opportunity, because you don't know. Like this connection I have with Mike is because I have a great relationship with Dan McCoy, who's one of the coaches in the boot camp. Without that, like maybe Mike and I would have met, but this is how we met because of that relationship. And you don't know, maybe Mike wants to interview you. Maybe Mike's got an idea or you've got an idea for him. So step up and don't be in the background. And great job, Michelle and Randy, for stepping up. So Michelle said, boot campers are my people. I agree. We have an awesome, awesome tribe. Mike, nice. What is the first thing a new doctor should do to direct patients to their office? Whoa, I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah. So Michelle, I always believe that different is better as opposed to better is better. And this is true with any business. I think so many businesses try to look at their competition and say, I got to have better signage. I have to have a better office. Everything's got to be better. But better is not better. Better goes unnoticed. I mean, if I answer the phone in 2 rings, now you come into town, you answer on 1 ring, you are better, but will customers really notice? Different is better. So I insert myself in the community. I present myself in a brand new way. Maybe I team up with other facilitators in the community, like the doctors and stuff like that, and say, listen, let's collaborate together. Maybe one doctor I know moved into town and he met up with a spa and said, listen, anyone comes in for a spa treatment, I will give a free chiropractic service to them just so they can experience it and extend the benefit from you. And he got leads. I mean, lots of leads for people who are focused on self-care. So just do different. Maybe it's easier said than done, but I will tell you one thing, just don't try to beat the competition head on. It's so hard to stand out that way.
Absolutely. I went over this yesterday. I do a live group coaching call for my boot campers, just the boot campers on Wednesdays. And something I learned from a guy I dated years ago who was well, you're in New York. You've probably seen them, blizzard snowplows. And they have come to market with lots of different things, and they dominate the market, and they so take over the market that their competition, that the person who was the best to begin with, has to buy them out, and or else they're going to lose the market share. And one of the hallmark things that he said was, never come to the table as I'm one. Like, I'm another one. I'm another widget. Yeah. I do the same thing as everybody else. And so
to the point where maybe you'd even, and this is really ballsy, ditch the term chiropractor. I'm not saying don't say you're not a chiropractor, but lead with something else. For example, I worked with an accountant, and I assume when you heard the word accountant, you're like, oh my God, another accountant, because all accountants are the same. That's the customer perception. All chiropractors are the same, is the customer perception. This accountant, we change them to profit advisors. So they go to a prospect and say, oh, we're profit advisors. We specialize in accounting service, but we're profit advisors. And the customer's like, oh, that chiropractic service provider for athletes, he doesn't go by chiropractor anymore. Actually, I can't think of the term he uses, but he's a performance alignment specialist.
Human performance specialist.
Yeah, performance specialist or something like that.
Yeah.
Lead with that and say, I am a extraordinary chiropractor. I do chiropractic services, but I'm a performance specialist. I can do chiropractic services just like anyone else. And what you do is you're pushing away the perception of all chiropractors are the same by coming up with a new title. That's a really ballsy and effective way of standing out.
I love that. Yeah, a human potential specialist. Oh, what's that?
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's jazz.
Right. And then what happens is then they're like, oh, what's that? Now they're inquisitive, and they want to know more versus, I'm a chiropractor. Oh, I knew my cousin's brother's sister's friend was a chiropractor, right?
Video. I can do it myself. Just crack my neck, and you can make things an acronym. Like you could be an HPS, and people are like, what? You're like a human performance specialist? Like duh. Like, I'm so surprised. But you can make the term, and the key here is to make it technical. Like if you say you're the queen of chiropractic services, you're effed, okay? Don't go with some cheesy marketing term. Pick something technical sounding where it invokes the customer to say, what does it mean? And that means you have their attention. Doesn't mean you have their business, but you have their attention. Then you have to explain how you're different and better and best for them.
Absolutely. I love that. All right. So then another question Debbie asked was, what's the best way to find your niche?
I love Debbie's picture. Is that JP Stern?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sears. JP Sears.
Sears.
Yeah.
Extraordinary comedian, right? Different. He is extraordinarily different in his approach. Right. Brought immediate profitability. There's a billion comedians out there. Here's a guy does different, and look what happens. So to answer how to find your niche, first is if you have an existing customer base, look at your best customers, the ones who pay you well and you enjoy doing business with. Once you identify who they are, insert yourself in their communities. Take them out to lunch. Tell them, hey, you're really a wonderful customer of mine. I want to serve you better. Here, I found there's 3 questions to ask. Ask them, what am I doing right? When you ask them what you're doing right and they tell you, here's the magic trick. They won't tell you what you're doing right. They'll tell you how they judge you. So when they say, you know what, you make me feel so good, feel so awesome, they're judging you based upon how you make them feel. Do a better job at what you do right. Ask what's wrong with my industry. Say, you probably work with other chiropractors. What don't you like? Whatever you don't like, that's the stuff you got to make sure never happens in your business. I hate waiting in the waiting room for 4 hours. It pisses me off. Have no waiting times. Yeah. And then, and this is the key, identify what other vendors they work with. Say, listen, do you mind sharing kind of the other vendor services you get? Do you work with doctors and stuff? The reason I'm asking is if I understand the other people you work with, perhaps I can make sure I'm complimenting them. If you work with a doctor, and I know there's a privilege there, but if you work with a doctor, maybe we can work together collaboratively to have a full health plan for you. Those doctors are working with other customers just like your best customer. They're the gateway to opportunity.
Absolutely. In boot campers, you'll recognize this as a whiteboard topic in the question of who is delivering great service in our town. Find out who are the other business owners that are delivering great service, and then take a screenshot of your whiteboard and say, hey, Mike, like my people, they think you rock. And I wanted to get together and tell you a great job. Thanks for doing, having an outstanding reputation in our community. And Mike's like, takes one to know one. You must have great service. And I'm like, well, actually I do. I do the same thing. Another reason to be connected to extend your brand and to build alliances. Michelle said, whoa, spa, talk about fish in a different pond, right? That's a way better pond. Absolutely. All right. So I have another question for you. Just give me 1 second.
Sure. Actually, I got another interview, shockingly, in a little bit. So,
and do you have 4 minutes?
Yeah, I got more than 4 minutes. Yeah, I got about 6 more minutes, 8 more minutes.
All right. So one of the things in Profit First that you have is make your employees act like owners. So a new term that is gaining traction within the chiropractic profession is an intrapreneur. Yeah. And that is basically somebody, obviously who's really interested in health and well-being, and they would like to start their own health and well-being company, but they don't have the capital to do so.
Yes.
So bring them on as your CA. Let's talk for a minute about getting your team involved in generating a better business.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So I'll tell you how not to do it by telling them your business objectives. The worst way to do it is, our goal this year is to do $1 million in revenue. Is everyone excited? No, that's your goal, the business owner. I don't give two fruits about that. What they care about is their dreams. What do they want? If you want to engage your staff, identify what their dreams are. I would like to own a house one day. My colleague here, Kelsey, she wants to go on sabbatical, and we're planning for that. Amy wants to just have other people achieve their goals. She's an empty nester now, and she just wants to give by seeing other people flourish. We've identified everyone's individual goals, and now we're making this business a pathway to achieve everyone's goals collectively. The mistake is identifying the big goals of your own. No one cares like you do because it's yours. Find out what their personal goals are, build that into the gateway or the pathway of their business or their employment with your company, and you'll see they'll start to act like owners because now they're owning their own outcomes, their own goals.
I love that. And just ask them.
Yeah. Sit down with your employee and say, just tell me about your dreams. Like, what do you want to do? Ignoring our company here, what do you want to do with your life? Maybe this company can support that. And you'll be astonished of what you learn. But you have to be genuine and authentic and support it. And interestingly, I'm not saying be this financial supporter behind it. I'm not going to Kelsey saying, we're going to save up $15,000 so you can go away for 3 months. What I'm saying is, I never knew that was your dream. We're going to make that happen. We're going to find a way to staff this business so that you can go and the job is waiting for you the second you come back. I have contacts. She wants to go to Africa. I have contacts in Africa where we can get you in and have you kind of get comfortable and stay there for a while before you go on to the region where you want to help. Like we're leveraging my network and other people's networks here to make her dream a reality. And guess what? She's like, I've never experienced this in my life. The loyalty is there because I'm being loyal to her. It's reciprocity, you know?
Yes. I love that. And maybe their real dream isn't working in your office, but by working in your office, you can help them move to the next thing. But because you know their dream, they're going to be more invested in your business and in a partnership with you. So if your people are treating it like it's just a job, it's because you're treating them like they're replaceable, which obviously they are. The person who isn't replaceable is you and your business, but get invested. It's way more fun. If you're going to show up anyway, spend less energy, and how we spend less energy, remember, is the wave. So find out what is their dream that moves them around. So the other thing that you talked about in Profit First, and those of you who haven't read Profit First yet, I highly recommend it. And if you're in the boot camp, week 10 walks you through applying Profit First into your chiropractic practice. So please just use the resources that are available to you to make this journey easier, more profitable, so that you can enjoy your practice better, that you can then give back to your community, or maybe take vacations or whatever it happens to be. I met a young doctor yesterday, and one of his driving forces was to earn an income so that he could put somebody else through college. Like, he doesn't want children of his own. And I'm like, that is so cool. I want to get involved in that. Like, I want to be in on that journey because that rocks. Like, that you value education enough that you want to provide that for somebody else. So you said, pinpoint your business's most important function. How do you practically go through that? Like in the boot camp, we have that, but not everyone who's watching is in the boot camp. I haven't figured out why yet, but 56daychirobootcamp.com/apply, and you can find out if you can be a part of us. But how do you go through that?
Yeah. So I explained the process in detail in Clockwork, which I strategically have positioned behind me. But what it is at first identify what is your brand differentiator. Like, what's the big promise you're making? And we've talked extensively about this now. Are you providing awesome, making people feel awesome or energized or healthy or not sore, whatever it is? Then you got to peel back the onion just one layer and determine what is the most impactful thing you're doing in the office that supports that promise. That is what I call the QBR, or the queen bee role. And there's a reason I call it that, but that's the thing you're hinging your business success on. You have to focus on that and elevate it, because that's the thing that's delivering the big promise. Most businesses are trying to do everything great. Oh, we got to receive customers well in the reception room. We got to look great. We got to make sure that the insurance is processed quickly and effectively. We got to walk them in. And they try to do everything excellently. Everything has to be done well enough, but one thing has to be extraordinary. That's the key. Don't try to be great at everything. Try to be extraordinary at one thing. And inevitably, it's your promise back one step. It's the thing that you're doing that is making that promise a reality.
So is that something that may or may not be making you the most money? Is that the way to look at it, like your 80-20 offer?
Yeah. So in my own company, I own a business where one of the businesses here's a great thing about being an author. A lot of people want to do business with you. So I am an equity owner in one company that's a membership organization. And the practical offering is a certification in our process. But our QBR is making people feel so embraced because all the members are solopreneurs. They work behind screens. They're in their house. They don't have family. So we want them to feel family. We embrace our customers. That's the QBR. So we actually have a person here. Her name's Amy. Her job is to embrace our members, make them feel like family, because they are family. That doesn't make money for us, but that emotion, that deliverable. And what do we do? We do tons of extraordinary things, but we're constantly aware of what's important to them and then delivering something that serves that. And so people feel embraced. We make money doing that? No. Does that keep membership and people engaged? Hell yeah. And does that serve the company? Yeah. But it's not our money maker, but it makes all the money. That's the irony.
Yeah. I love that. It's
I got split in 1 minute.
All right, so we're gonna have to say goodbye.
I'm sorry.
No. Hey, thank you so much, and to all of you, clockworkbymike.com. Reach out to him. Please tell him thank you. You can hit him up on Facebook. You can send him an email right there, Clockwork by Mike. This is a guy who not only says I'm available, he actually does it. I reached out to him to something the other day, and I think within 10 minutes, he specifically responded to the introduction that I made. And so, Mike, I want to tell you, thank you so much for being a man of your word. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Do this again.
I'd love to do it again. I would love to do it again. I love your energy. And Barbara, just thank you. It's a privilege to be with you and your community. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, have a great day. See ya. Bye.
See y'all.